People say a mother's love is the strongest thing in the world, but what happens when that love is thrown away like trash? At 71, standing alone in the Atlanta airport with my suitcase and a broken heart, I learned the hardest truth. My son, the boy I raised with every ounce of my strength, left me behind without a word. I stood there, watching the planes take off, wondering where I went wrong. My name is Susan Miller, and this is the story I kept locked inside for years. A story of betrayal, survival, and the choice I made to take back my power. It's not pretty, and it hurts to tell, but I'm telling it now because I know there are others out there, mothers and daughters, who feel abandoned, thinking they're alone. If you're listening, let me know where you're from in the comments. I want to know if my pain reaches you, if it means something. I was born in 1954 in Macon, Georgia, in a small house with creaky floors and a backyard full of peach trees. Back then, the world expected women to stay quiet, keep house, and smile through the pain. I was no different. My father, George, was a mechanic, always covered in grease, with a temper that flared when the bills piled up. My mother, Evelyn, was soft-spoken, her hands rough from sewing clothes for neighbors to make ends meet. They loved me, but love came with rules. Obey, don't question, and never make a fuss. I grew up knowing my place, but deep inside I dreamed of something bigger. A life where I could stand tall and not shrink to fit someone else's idea of me. When I was 18, I met David Wilson at a church picnic. He was charming, with a laugh that made my heart skip. He worked at the local mill, steady and proud, and he promised me a future. We married a year later, in 1973, in a simple ceremony with daisies in my hair. I thought I'd found my escape from the smallness of my world. But dreams have a way of crumbling. David's charm faded fast, replaced by late nights at the bar and a temper worse than my father's. By the time I was 20, I was pregnant with our son, Michael, and David was already a stranger. He'd come home smelling of whiskey, yelling about money or nothing at all. I'd hide in the kitchen, clutching my belly, whispering to my unborn baby that I'd protect him no matter what. Michael was born in 1974, a tiny bundle with big blue eyes that looked right into my soul. From the moment I held him, I knew he was my reason to keep going. David wasn't much of a father. He'd hold Michael for a minute, then hand him back, saying babies were women's work. I didn't care. Michael was mine, my light in the dark. I'd sing to him at night, old hymns my mother taught me, and promise him a better life. But David's anger grew worse. One night, when Michael was 2, David came home drunk, swinging a bottle. I stepped in front of the crib, heart pounding. "Don't you dare touch him," I said, my voice shaking but firm. He laughed, called me weak, but he backed off. That was the first time I felt a spark of strength inside me, a fire that said I wasn't just a wife or a daughter. I was a mother. Life with David was a tightrope. I worked part-time at a diner, pouring coffee and smiling for tips, while raising Michael. David's pay went to the bar, so I hid money in a tin under the floorboards to buy diapers and formula. By the time Michael was 5, David was gone more than he was home. One day he didn't come back at all. No note, no goodbye, just an empty closet and a stack of unpaid bills. I was 25, alone with a child, in a town that whispered about that poor Miller girl. But I didn't cry. I looked at Michael, playing with his toy trucks, and swore I'd be enough for both of us. I took extra shifts, moved us to a tiny apartment and kept going. People said I was strong, but I didn't feel it. I was just doing what I had to. Michael grew up fast. He was a quiet boy, always watching, always thinking. I'd catch him staring out the window asking, "Mom, why'd Dad leave?" I'd lie saying, "He had to find work somewhere else, sweetheart," because the truth, that David didn't care, was too heavy for a child. I wanted Michael to believe in love, in family, even if I was struggling to believe it myself. I taught him to read, helped with his homework, and cheered at his soccer games. Every night, I'd tuck him in and say, "You're my hero, Mike." He'd smile, those blue eyes shining, and I'd think maybe we'd be okay. But life has a way of testing you. When Michael was 10, I got sick, pneumonia that wouldn't quit. I couldn't work for weeks, and the bills piled up again. Our landlord, Mr. Thompson, was kind but firm. "Susan, you've got till the end of the month," he said, looking sorry. I didn't know what to do. Michael saw me crying over the kitchen table one night, my hands shaking over a stack of notices. "Mom, what's wrong?" he asked, his voice small. I wiped my eyes, forced a smile. "Just grown-up stuff, honey. We'll be fine." But I wasn't sure. That night, I prayed for a way out, not for me, but for Michael. He deserved better than a mother who could barely keep the lights on. A week later, a letter came from my Aunt Clara in Atlanta. She'd heard about my troubles through the family grapevine. "Come stay with me," she wrote. "I've got a spare room, and I know a lady who needs a seamstress." It felt like a lifeline. I packed our things, told Michael we were going on an adventure, and we took a bus to Atlanta. Clara was a widow, tough but kind, with a laugh that filled the room. She gave us a home, and I started sewing again, mending dresses for rich folks in the city. Michael settled into a new school, made friends, and seemed happy. For the first time in years, I breathed a little easier. But happiness is fragile. As Michael grew into a teenager, I noticed a change. He was still my sweet boy, but there was a restlessness in him, a need to prove himself. He'd talk about making it big, getting rich, leaving Macon's small-town life far behind. "Mom, I'm gonna buy you a big house one day," he'd say, and I'd laugh, ruffling his hair. "All I need is you, Mike." But his dreams were bigger than mine, and I didn't realize how much they'd pull him away. At 16, he started hanging out with older kids, ones who drove fast cars and talked about money like it was everything. I worried, but I trusted him. He was my son after all. Then came the summer of 1992, when Michael was 18. He came home one night, eyes bright with excitement. "Mom, I got a job offer in Miami," he said, holding up a letter. "It's with a big company, real estate. They say I've got potential." My heart sank, but I smiled. "That's amazing, Mike. But Miami? It's so far." He hugged me, promising to visit, to call, to take care of me. I believed him because I wanted to. A month later, I drove him to the Atlanta airport, my old car rattling the whole way. "I'll be back for Christmas, Mom," he said, kissing my cheek. I waved as he walked through the gates, my heart full of pride and fear. That was the last time I saw him for years. I stood in that Atlanta airport longer than I should have, clutching my purse, hoping Michael would turn back. He didn't. The crowd moved around me, families hugging, kids laughing, but I felt like a ghost. My heart ached, not just for the boy who'd walked away, but for the years I'd poured into him, thinking love would be enough. I drove home to Aunt Clara's, the radio off, the silence loud with my thoughts. Had I failed him? Was I too soft, too trusting? I didn't know then that this was just the start of a bigger betrayal, one that would push me to a choice I never thought I'd make. Back at Clara's, I tried to keep busy. I sewed dresses, mended curtains, anything to keep my hands moving and my mind still. Clara noticed my quietness. "Susan, you okay, honey?" she asked one evening, her voice warm over a cup of tea. I forced a smile, my needle pausing. "Just missing Mike, that's all." She patted my hand. "He's young, chasing dreams. He'll call." I nodded, wanting to believe her, but the phone stayed silent. Days turned into weeks, then months. Christmas came and went, no Michael. I sent letters to the address he'd given me in Miami, but they came back unopened. "Wrong address," the postmark said. My stomach twisted. Where was my boy? I kept working, saving every penny from my sewing jobs. Clara's friend, Mrs. Linda Carter, owned a boutique in Atlanta and hired me to make custom dresses. Linda was kind, with a sharp laugh and a knack for knowing when I needed to talk. "You're strong, Susan," she said one day, watching me pin fabric. "Raising that boy alone, you're tougher than most." I shook my head, threading a needle. "Doesn't feel like it. Feels like I'm falling apart." She leaned closer, her eyes soft. "You're not. You're building something, even if you can't see it yet." Her words stuck with me, a tiny spark in the dark. But the dark kept growing. One night, I found a photo of Michael, age 10, smiling with his soccer trophy. I sat on my bed, tracing his face, tears falling. "Where are you, Mike?" I whispered. I thought of calling the Miami police, but what would I say? My son left, and I don't know why. Instead, I called the real estate company he'd mentioned. "No Michael Wilson here," the lady said, her voice clipped. "Never heard of him." My heart sank. Had he lied? Was the job a dream he made up? I didn't want to believe it, but doubt crept in cold and heavy. By 1994, Michael had been gone 2 years. I was 40, still living with Clara, still sewing, still waiting. Then one humid July evening, the phone rang. My hands shook as I picked it up. Mom. Michael's voice, older but unmistakable. I gasped, gripping the receiver. Mike. Oh honey, where are you? Are you okay? He laughed, but it sounded forced. I'm fine, Mom. In Miami, like I said. Been busy with work. I pressed the phone closer, tears stinging. Why didn't you call? I sent letters, Mike. They came back. He paused. Too long. Yeah, I moved around. Sorry about that. Look, I'm coming to Atlanta next week. Can we meet? My heart leaped. Of course, baby. Just tell me when. He promised to call with details, but when I hung up, something felt off. His voice wasn't the same, not my sweet boy's. The next week, I waited at a coffee shop downtown wearing my best dress, my hands twisting in my lap. Michael walked in, taller, leaner, with a flashy watch and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mom, you look good, he said, hugging me quick. I held on longer, breathing him in. Mike, I was so worried. Why didn't you write? He shrugged, sitting down. Work's crazy, Mom. Big deals, big money. You wouldn't get it. His words stung, but I pushed it aside. Tell me about it, I said, trying to smile. He talked fast about condos, investors, a life I couldn't picture. But he kept looking at his watch, like he was in a hurry. Then he leaned forward, his voice low. Mom, I need a favor. I'm in a tight spot with a deal. Can you loan me some money? Just a few thousand. I'll pay you back, promise. I froze. I'd saved about $5,000, every cent from years of sewing, hidden in a bank account for emergencies. Mike, that's all I've got, I said, my voice shaking. He reached for my hand, his blue eyes pleading. I know, Mom, but I'm good for it. This deal's gonna set me up. Then I'll take care of you, get you that big house. I wanted to believe him, like I always had. Against my gut, I nodded. Okay, Mike. For you. We went to the bank the next day. I withdrew $4,000, my hands trembling as I handed him the cash. He hugged me tight. You're the best, Mom. I'll call you soon. He left for Miami that afternoon, promising to visit again. I stood at the bus stop, watching his cab disappear, feeling emptier than ever. Weeks passed, then months. No calls, no letters. I checked my bank account one day, hoping to see a deposit, something to show he'd kept his word. Nothing. I called the number he'd given me. Disconnected. My heart broke all over again, but this time, anger mixed with the hurt. Who was this man my son had become? Clara saw me crumbling. Susan, you can't keep waiting for him, she said one night, her voice firm. You gave him everything. Now you've got to live for you. I shook my head. Tears falling. He's my son, Clara. How do I let go? She hugged me. You don't let go. You just stop letting him break you. Her words hit hard. I started to wonder if I'd been too soft, too blind. Michael wasn't the boy I raised anymore. But what could I do? I kept working, kept sewing, kept hoping, even as the years slipped by. In 1997, a letter arrived, not from Michael, but from a lawyer in Miami. My hands shook as I opened it. It was about a business deal gone wrong, some property scam tied to Michael's name. The lawyer needed to know if I was involved. I wasn't, but the letter mentioned debts, lawsuits, and Michael owing thousands. My stomach churned. Had he used my money for this? I called the lawyer, my voice steady despite my fear. I'm his mother, but I don't know anything about this, I said. The lawyer sighed. Ma'am, your son's in trouble. If you hear from him, tell him to call me. I hung up, my mind spinning. Trouble? What kind of trouble? I didn't sleep that night. I sat on Clara's porch, staring at the stars, thinking back to Michael's childhood, the boy who'd promised to buy me a house. Where had he gone? I felt like a fool, giving him my savings, believing his lies. But I wasn't ready to give up. I decided to find him, to understand why he'd changed. I called Linda, who knew people in Miami from her boutique business. Susan, are you sure? She asked, worried. He's hurt you enough. I nodded, my jaw tight. I need to know, Linda. For me. She promised to ask around, and I started saving again, this time for a bus ticket to Miami. I wasn't sure what I'd find, but I knew I couldn't stay still anymore. I boarded the bus to Miami in the spring of 1998, my hands clutching a small bag with just enough clothes and the last of my savings. The engine rumbled, and I stared out the window, Atlanta fading behind me. My heart pounded with a mix of fear and hope. I was 44, chasing a son who'd already broken my heart twice. What would I find in Miami? Would Michael even want to see me? Linda had given me a lead. A friend of hers, Mr. Henry Davis, who ran a small real estate office in Miami and might know something about Michael's dealings. Be careful, Susan, Linda had said, her voice tight. Miami's not like Atlanta. It's fast, and people aren't always what they seem. I nodded, but I had to go. I needed answers. The bus ride took 12 hours, and every mile felt heavier. I thought about Michael's last visit, his flashy watch, his promises. Had I missed something in him growing up? I remembered his teenage years, how he'd started pulling away, chasing money and big dreams. I blamed myself for not seeing it sooner, for not teaching him better. But I also remembered his blue eyes, so full of love when he was little. That boy was still in there, I told myself. He had to be. When I got to Miami, the heat hit me like a wall. The city was loud, cars honking, music blasting, people rushing. I felt small, out of place, but I pushed forward. I found a cheap motel near the bus station, and called Henry from a payphone. Mrs. Miller, he said, his voice gruff but kind. Linda told me you're looking for your son. Come by my office tomorrow. I thanked him, my voice shaky. That night, I barely slept, the motel's thin walls letting in every sound, sirens, laughter, arguments. I kept seeing Michael's face, wondering what he'd say when I found him. The next morning, I walked to Henry's office, a small building with peeling paint. He was older, with gray hair and a limp, but his eyes were sharp. Sit down, Susan, he said, pointing to a chair. I looked into your son. Michael Wilson, right? I nodded, my hands twisting in my lap. He's been around, Henry said, leaning back. Worked with some shady folks in real estate a couple years back. Word is he got mixed up in a scam, selling properties he didn't own. Made some enemies, then disappeared. My stomach dropped. Disappeared. I whispered. Henry nodded. Folks like that don't stay in one place long. But I've got a name. Tommy Reed. He might know where Michael is. Tommy Reed. The name felt like a stone in my chest. Henry gave me an address, a bar downtown where Tommy hung out. Be careful, he warned again. Tommy's not the friendly type. I thanked him and left, my mind racing. A scam? My Michael? I couldn't believe it, but the lawyer's letter and the missing money told me it wasn't impossible. I walked to the bar that evening, my heart thudding. The place was dark, smoky, with loud music and men laughing too loud. I felt every eye on me, a middle-aged woman in a plain dress, clutching my purse like a lifeline. I asked the bartender for Tommy Reed. He pointed to a corner booth where a man sat, maybe 30, with slick hair and a gold chain. I walked over, my knees weak. Mr. Reed, I said, my voice barely above the music. He looked up, smirking. Who's asking? I swallowed hard. I'm Susan Miller, Michael Wilson's mother. I'm looking for him. Tommy's smirk faded, and he leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Michael? That kid owes me money. A lot of it. You got it. I shook my head, my voice trembling. I just want to find him. Please. Tommy laughed, cold and sharp. Lady, your son's a liar. He took cash from some bad people, including me. If he's smart, he's long gone. I felt sick, but I pressed on. Do you know where he went? Tommy sipped his drink, watching me. Maybe. What's it worth to you? I didn't have much, but I pulled out $50, all I could spare. He took it, grinning. Last I heard, he was in a cheap apartment on 8th Street. Try there. But don't expect a warm welcome. He gave me an address, and I left, my heart pounding. The street lights blurred as I walked, tears burning my eyes. Michael a liar? Owing money to men like Tommy? It didn't sound like my son, but I had to know. The next day, I found the apartment building, a rundown place with graffiti on the walls. I knocked on the door Tommy gave me, my hands shaking. A young woman answered, Her hair messy, eyes tired. Yeah, she said, looking me up and down. I'm looking for Michael Wilson, I said. She frowned. Mike? He used to live here, but he's gone. Left a month ago, didn't pay rent. My heart sank. Do you know where he went? She shrugged. Heard he was heading to Tampa. Said something about a new deal. Tampa. Another city, another chase. I thanked her and walked away, feeling lost. Was I chasing a ghost? Back at the motel, I sat on the bed, staring at the address Tommy gave me. I wanted to give up, to go back to Atlanta and forget Michael. But I couldn't. He was my son, and even if he'd changed, I needed to see him to understand. I called Linda that night, my voice breaking. Susan, come home, she said. You're tearing yourself apart. I cried, gripping the phone. I can't, Linda. Not until I know why he's doing this. She sighed. Then be careful. And call me if you need me. I promised I would, but I felt alone, like the world was closing in. The next morning, I bought a bus ticket to Tampa. As I waited at the station, a man sat next to me, older, with kind eyes. You look worried, ma'am, he said, his voice gentle. I managed a smile. Just looking for someone. He nodded, like he understood. Family's tough, but sometimes you gotta let them find their own way. His words hit me hard, but I shook my head. He's my son. I can't let go. He patted my hand. Then keep going. But don't lose yourself. I didn't know it then, but that stranger's words would stay with me. A reminder of the strength I'd need for what was coming. As the bus pulled out, I thought about Michael's blue eyes, his promises, his lies. I was getting closer, but every step felt heavier. In Tampa, I'd find him, or I'd find the truth. Either way, something in me was changing. I wasn't just a mother chasing her son anymore. I was a woman learning to fight for herself. And when I found Michael, I'd have to make a choice, forgive him, or protect myself from the man he'd become. The bus to Tampa smelled of stale coffee and old leather. And I sat by the window, clutching my bag, my heart heavy with questions. The stranger's words from the Miami station echoed in my mind. Don't lose yourself. I was trying, but every mile closer to Michael felt like a step deeper into a truth I wasn't sure I could face. Tampa was my last hope to find him. To understand why he'd turned into someone I didn't know. I was 44, tired, and scared, but something inside me burned. A need to know, not just for Michael, but for me. I'd spent my life giving, sacrificing. Now, I wanted answers. When I arrived in Tampa, the city felt different from Miami. Less chaotic but still overwhelming. The air was thick with salt and heat. And I found another cheap motel, this one with a flickering neon sign. I didn't have a lead like in Miami, just a rumor from the woman in Michael's old apartment. I spent the first day walking the streets, asking shopkeepers and waitresses if they'd seen a young man with blue eyes, about 24, named Michael Wilson. Most shook their heads, but one older woman at a diner, Miss Betty, paused when I showed her Michael's photo. Might have seen him, she said, squinting. Works at a car lot on Fowler Avenue, I think. Flashy guy, talks big. My heart jumped. Thank you, I said, my voice trembling. I had a lead. The next morning, I took a bus to Fowler Avenue. The car lot was bright with shiny cars and balloons, but it felt wrong, like a place hiding secrets. I walked in, my hands sweaty, and saw a young man in a suit, laughing with a customer. It was Michael. My breath caught. He looked older, his hair slicked back, his smile too wide. I stood frozen, watching him work the crowd like he belonged there. Then he saw me. His smile dropped, and for a second, I saw fear in his eyes. Mom, he said, walking over, his voice low. What are you doing here? I wanted to hug him, but his tone stopped me. Mike, I've been looking for you. I said, my voice shaking. You didn't call. You took my money and disappeared. He glanced around, nervous, like he didn't want anyone to hear. Let's talk outside, he said, grabbing my arm. We stepped into the parking lot, the sun burning my skin. Why are you here, Mom? He asked, his voice sharp. I stared at him, hurt. Because you're my son. I was worried. I heard things about scams, debts. What's going on, Mike? He laughed, but it was bitter. You don't get it, do you? I'm trying to make something of myself. That money? It was an investment. You'll get it back. I shook my head, tears burning. You lied to me, Mike. You left me. Do you know how that felt? His face softened, just for a second. I'm sorry, Mom. Things got messy. But I'm fine now. This job's legit. I wanted to believe him, but his eyes darted away, like he was hiding something. Then why'd you run from Miami? I asked. He froze, then sighed. Okay, yeah, I got into some trouble. Bad deals. But I'm out now. Trust me. I didn't know if I could. Come home, Mike, I said. We can figure this out together. He shook his head. I can't. I've got plans here. Big ones. Before I could answer, a man walked over, tall, with a mustache and cold eyes. Mike, who's this? He asked, his voice hard. Michael tensed. Just my mom, Frank. She's visiting. Frank looked me up and down, smirking. Family reunion, huh? Don't distract my best salesman. He walked away, but his stare chilled me. Who's that? I asked. Michael shrugged. My boss. Don't worry about him. But I was worried. Something about Frank felt dangerous, like Tommy Reed in Miami. I grabbed Michael's hand. Mike, are you in trouble again? He pulled away. No, Mom. Go back to Atlanta. I'll call you, I swear. He walked back inside, leaving me alone in the lot. I didn't leave Tampa. I couldn't. I checked into the motel and called Linda, my voice breaking. I found him, Linda, but he's different. I don't know what to do. She sighed. Susan, you can't save him if he doesn't want it. Come home. I cried, shaking my head. I have to try. The next day, I went back to the car lot, but Michael wasn't there. A young salesman, Joey, told me he'd taken the day off. He's probably with Frank, Joey said, then lowered his voice. Look, lady, your son's mixed up with some rough people. I'd stay away if I were you. My heart raced. What kind of people? Joey looked nervous. Just not good ones. Ask around at the Blue Moon Bar. That's where Frank hangs out. The Blue Moon Bar was a dive, with sticky floors and dim lights. I felt out of place, but I asked for Frank. A waitress pointed to a back room. I knocked, and Frank opened the door, his smirk gone. You again, he said. What do you want? I took a deep breath. I want to know about my son. What's he doing with you? Frank laughed, stepping closer. Your boy's in deep, lady. He owes me money, big money. If he doesn't pay, he's done. My knees went weak. What do you mean done? Frank's eyes narrowed. Figure it out. Now get lost. I backed away, my heart pounding. Michael was in danger, and I didn't know how to help him. That night, I sat in my motel room, staring at the ceiling. I thought about the $4,000 I'd given Michael, the years of saving, the trust I'd lost. Then it hit me, maybe I could find out more about Frank. I called Henry Davis in Miami, hoping he'd know something. Frank Larson. Henry said, his voice tense. Bad news, Susan. He's tied to some shady deals, cars, properties, you name it. If Michael's with him, he's in over his head. I felt sick. What do I do, Henry? He paused. Find proof. If Michael's part of something illegal, you need evidence. Check his place if you can. It was a risk, but I had to try. The next day, I went to the address Joey gave me, a small apartment near the car lot. I knocked, but no one answered. The lock was loose, and with a shaky hand, I pushed the door open. Inside, the place was a mess, empty bottles, papers everywhere. I found a stack of documents on a table, with Michael's name on them. They were contracts, but they didn't make sense. Cars sold to multiple buyers, fake titles. My heart sank. This was the scam Henry warned about. Then I heard footsteps. I grabbed the papers and hid behind a couch. The door opened, and I heard Frank's voice. Mike, you better not be lying about that money, he said. Michael answered, his voice shaky. I'll get it, Frank. Just give me time. My blood ran cold. I stayed still until they left, then slipped out, the papers in my bag. I didn't know what to do next, but I knew I couldn't stay in Tampa. Michael was in deeper than I thought, and Frank was dangerous. I caught a bus back to Atlanta, the papers burning a hole in my bag. I felt betrayed, scared, but also angry. Michael had lied, used me, and now he was running with men who could hurt him, or worse. But I wasn't the same Susan who'd left Atlanta. I was done being the mother who waited, who trusted blindly. I'd find a way to stop this, to save Michael if I could, or to protect myself if I couldn't. The bus rumbled on, and I made a promise to myself. No more tears. It was time to fight. Back in Atlanta, I sat at Aunt Clara's kitchen table, the stolen papers spread out in front of me. My hands shook as I read them again. Fake car titles, contracts with Michael's signature, names of buyers who'd been cheated. Every word felt like a knife, cutting deeper into the image of the son I thought I knew. I was 44, worn out from chasing Michael across 2 cities, but the anger inside me was new, sharp, alive. I'd given him everything, my love, my savings, my trust, and he'd thrown it away. But those papers were proof, not just of his lies, but of something bigger. I wasn't sure what to do with them, but I knew I couldn't ignore them. Clara walked in, her apron dusted with flour from baking. "Susan, you've been staring at those papers all morning," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "What's the plan, honey?" I looked up, tears in my eyes. "I don't know, Clara. These show Michael's part of something bad, really bad. Scams may be worse. But he's my son. How do I turn him in?" Clara sat down, her hand on mine. "You're not turning him in. You're trying to save him. And yourself. You've got to decide what's right." Her words hit hard. I wanted to protect Michael, but I also wanted to stop him from hurting others. Or himself. I called Linda, hoping she'd know someone who could help. "Susan, you're back," she said, relief in her voice. "What happened in Tampa?" I told her everything. The car lot, Frank, the papers. "I've got evidence, Linda, but I'm scared. What if Michael gets arrested? What if Frank comes after me?" Linda was quiet for a moment. "You need to talk to someone who knows the law. I've got a friend, Karen Brooks, she's a lawyer. She'll keep it quiet. Meet her, see what she says." I hesitated, my stomach twisting. A lawyer? That felt too real, too final. But I agreed. "Okay, Linda. Set it up." The next day, I met Karen at her office, a small room filled with books and files. She was younger than me, with a kind smile but serious eyes. I handed her the papers, my hands trembling. "My son's mixed up in this," I said. "I don't know what to do." Karen read through them, her face growing grim. "Susan, this is serious," she said. "These documents show fraud, multiple counts. Your son's name is all over them, but so is Frank Larson's. If this goes to the police, Michael could face charges. But Frank's the bigger fish. He's been on their radar for years." I felt sick. "Will Michael go to jail?" Karen leaned forward. "Maybe. But if he cooperates, tells the truth, he might get a deal. You need to talk to him first." Talk to him? I hadn't heard from Michael since Tampa, and I wasn't sure he'd listen. But Karen's words gave me a spark of hope. Maybe I could reach him, get him to come clean before it was too late. "How do I find him again?" I asked. Karen handed me a card. "Call this detective, Paul Hayes. He's worked on cases like this. He can track Michael down quietly. But Susan, be ready. This won't be easy." I took the card, my heart pounding. I was stepping into something dangerous, but I felt a strength I hadn't before. I wasn't just a mother anymore. I was a woman taking control. I called Detective Hayes that night. "Mrs. Miller?" he said, his voice calm but firm. "Karen told me about your situation. I'll look for your son, but I need those papers." I hesitated, clutching the phone. "What happens to Michael if I give them to you?" Hayes sighed. "Depends on him. If he's in deep with Frank Larson, he's already in trouble. Helping us could help him. But I won't lie, it's risky." I closed my eyes, picturing Michael's face as a boy, then as the man in Tampa, cold and distant. "Okay," I said. "I'll bring them tomorrow." When I hung up, I cried, not for Michael, but for the part of me that still wanted to believe in him. The next morning, I was about to leave for the police station when the phone rang. I picked it up, expecting Linda or Clara. "Mom." Michael's voice, low and urgent, stopped me cold. "Mike, where are you?" I asked, my heart racing. "I'm in Atlanta," he said. "I need to see you. Now." I froze. "Atlanta? After all this time? Why, Mike? What's going on?" He sounded scared, not like the confident man in Tampa. I messed up, Mom. Frank's after me. I need help. My mind spun. Was this another lie? Or was he finally telling the truth? Where are you? I asked. He gave me an address, a motel not far from Clara's. Please, Mom. Hurry. He hung up before I could say more. I grabbed my purse, my hands shaking. I didn't tell Clara or Linda. I just left. The motel was old, with cracked paint and a rusty sign. I knocked on the door Michael gave me, my heart in my throat. He opened it, looking worse than ever, pale, unshaven, his eyes wild. Mom, thank God, he said, pulling me inside. The room smelled of smoke and fear. Mike, what's happening? I asked, my voice sharp. He paced, running his hands through his hair. Frank's crazy, Mom. I owe him money, and he thinks I'm running. I didn't mean for this to happen. I just wanted to make it big. I stared at him, anger and love fighting inside me. You lied to me, Mike. You took my money, got into scams. What? He stopped, his eyes wet. I thought I could fix it, Mom. I thought I'd make enough to pay you back, to give you everything. But it got out of control. For the first time, I saw a glimpse of my boy, the one who'd promised me a big house. I wanted to hug him, but I held back. You need to turn yourself in, Mike, I said. I've got papers, proof of what you and Frank did. The police can help you if you tell the truth. His face changed, fear turning to anger. You what? You're gonna turn me in? I stepped closer, my voice steady. I'm trying to save you. Frank's dangerous. You can't keep running. Before he could answer, there was a loud knock on the door. Mike. Open up. A man's voice shouted. Michael froze, his eyes wide. It's Frank, he whispered. My heart stopped. How had he found us? Hide, Michael said, pushing me toward the bathroom. I grabbed the papers from my purse and slipped inside, my hands trembling. Through the crack in the door, I saw Frank barge in, his face red with anger. You think you can hide from me? He yelled. Michael backed up, hands raised. Frank, I'll get the money, I swear. Frank laughed, cold and mean. Too late, kid. You're done. I wanted to scream, to run out and protect Michael, but I stayed still, clutching the papers. Then I heard another voice, calm but firm. Frank Larson, step away. I peeked out and saw Detective Hayes, gun drawn, with 2 other officers. My call to him had led them here. Frank cursed, raising his hands, while Michael stood frozen, his face pale. Hayes looked at me as I stepped out, nodding slightly. You okay, Mrs. Miller? He asked. I nodded, tears falling. Take him, I said, pointing to Frank. Then I looked at Michael. And him too. He needs to face this. Michael's eyes met mine, full of shock and pain, but I didn't look away. I'd made my choice. The motel room felt smaller after the police took Michael and Frank away. Detective Hayes stayed behind, his notepad open, his eyes kind but serious. Mrs. Miller, you did the right thing, he said, his voice low. I sat on the edge of the bed, my hands shaking, the papers still in my purse. Did I? I whispered, tears falling. He's my son. I just sent him to jail. Hayes sighed, sitting across from me. You gave him a chance to fix this. Frank's the real problem. Michael might get a deal if he talks. But you need to stay safe. Frank's got friends. My stomach twisted. Friends. I hadn't thought about that. I nodded, barely hearing him, my mind stuck on Michael's face, shock, betrayal, fear, as the officers cuffed him. I went back to Clara's that night, my body heavy with guilt. Clara was waiting, her face full of worry. Susan, what happened? She asked, pulling me into a hug. I broke down, sobbing into her shoulder. I found Mike, Clara. He was in trouble, big trouble. I gave the police proof, and they took him. I turned in my own son. Clara held me tighter. Oh, honey, you didn't turn him in. You're trying to save him from himself. That takes guts. I shook my head, pulling away. It doesn't feel like guts. It feels like I broke my heart. She made me tea, but I couldn't drink it. I kept seeing Michael's eyes, wondering if he'd ever forgive me. The next day, I went to the police station to talk to Hayes. He met me in a small office, papers stacked high. Michael's being questioned, he said. He's not talking much, but we've got enough on Frank to hold him. Those papers you gave us? They're gold. Fraud, money laundering, you name it. I swallowed hard. What about Mike? What happens to him? Hayes leaned back, his face grim. Depends. If he cooperates, he might get a lighter sentence. If not, he's looking at years. I'll keep you posted. I nodded, my throat tight. Can I see him? Hayes hesitated. Not yet. Give it a day or two. He's not in a good place. I left feeling like I was drowning. That night, Linda came over, her arms full of groceries. You're not eating, Susan, she said, unpacking bread and soup. You've got to stay strong. I tried to smile, but it hurt. Linda, what if I made a mistake? What if Mike hates me forever? She sat next to me, her voice soft. He might be angry now, but deep down he knows you love him. You did what a mother does. You fought for him, even when it hurt. Her words helped, but the ache in my chest didn't go away. I wanted to believe Michael could change, but I wasn't sure anymore. 2 days later, Hayes called. You can see Michael, he said. He's at the county jail. But brace yourself, he's not the kid you remember. I drove to the jail, my hands gripping the wheel. The place was cold gray, with guards who didn't smile. They led me to a visiting room, and there was Michael in an orange jumpsuit, his face pale, his blue eyes dull. Mom, he said, his voice flat. I sat across from him, a glass wall between us. Mike, I'm so sorry, I said, tears falling. I had to do it. Frank was dangerous. I was trying to help you. He looked away, his jaw tight. Help me? You ruined my life. I was gonna fix everything, Mom. Now I'm stuck here. His words cut deep, but I didn't back down. You were in too deep, Mike. You lied to me, took my money, worked with criminals. I couldn't let you keep going. He slammed his hand on the counter, making me jump. You don't get it. I was doing it for us. For you. I shook my head, my voice steady. No, Mike. You were doing it for you. And it broke my heart. He stared at me, then looked down, his shoulders shaking. I didn't mean to hurt you, he whispered. For a moment, I saw my boy again, but then he hardened. Just leave, Mom. I don't need you. I stood, my heart shattering, and walked out, his words echoing in my head. I was driving home when my phone rang. It was Karen, the lawyer. Susan, we've got a problem, she said, her voice tense. Frank's out on bail. Someone paid it, someone big. And he's asking around about you. My blood ran cold. What? Why me? Karen paused. Those papers you gave the police. They're enough to put him away for years. He knows you're the one who brought them. You need to be careful. I pulled over, my hands shaking. Frank was free? And looking for me? I thought I'd done the right thing, but now I was in danger. What do? I asked. Stay with Clara, don't go anywhere alone, Karen said. I'll talk to Hayes, see if they can protect you. When I got to Clara's, I told her everything. She grabbed my shoulders, her eyes fierce. You're not alone, Susan. We'll keep you safe. But you've got to keep fighting. For you, not just Mike. I nodded, but fear not at me. That night, I couldn't sleep, jumping at every sound. I kept the papers hidden under my mattress, wondering if I should have burned them. The next morning, I found a note slipped under Clara's door. No name, just words in black ink. Give us the papers or you're next. My heart stopped. I called Hayes, my voice shaking. Someone's threatening me, I said, reading him the note. He cursed. Susan, get to the station now. Bring the papers. We'll put you somewhere safe. I packed a bag, my hands trembling, and told Clara to stay with Linda. As I drove to the station, I noticed a car following me, black with tinted windows. My pulse raced. Was it Frank? One of his friends? I sped up, weaving through traffic, but the car stayed close. At a red light, I grabbed my phone and called Hayes. I'm being followed, I said, my voice breaking. I'm almost there. He stayed on the line, his voice calm. Keep driving, Susan. We've got officers waiting. I made it to the station, the black car peeling away as I pulled in. Hayes met me at the door, his face grim. You're okay, he said, leading me inside. But this is bigger than we thought. Frank's not working alone. Inside, Hayes showed me a photo of a man older with a scar on his cheek. This is Victor Malone, he said. Frank's boss. He's the one who bailed Frank out. Those papers you found? They tie to Malone's operation. He's why you're being threatened. I felt sick. Michael hadn't just been working with Frank. He'd been part of something huge, something deadly. What now? I asked, my voice small. Hayes leaned forward. We're moving you to a safe house until we can arrest Malone. But Susan, we need your help. Testify against Frank, maybe Michael too. It's the only way to stop this. Testify? Against my son? I didn't know if I could, but I nodded. I was tired of running, tired of being scared. It was time to stand up. The safe house was a small apartment on the edge of Atlanta, with bare walls and a window hidden behind thick curtains. Detective Hayes drove me there at night, his eyes checking the mirrors. You'll be okay here, Susan, he said, giving me a key. Officers will stop by, and I'll keep you posted. I nodded, clutching my purse, but fear stuck to me like sweat. I was 44, hiding from men who wanted me gone because I'd tried to save my son. The papers were with Hayes now, locked in a police vault, but that note, "Give us the papers or you're done," haunted me. I wondered if I'd ever feel safe again. The apartment was too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your thoughts scream. I sat on the hard couch, my hands restless. I couldn't call Clara or Linda. Hayes said it wasn't safe. I missed Clara's warm voice, Linda's quick smile. I missed my sewing, the way it steadied me. Most of all, I missed Michael, the boy who'd laugh at my bad cooking, not the man who'd told me to leave him in jail. I cried that night, curling up on the couch, feeling like I'd lost everything. The next morning, Hayes brought Karen, the lawyer. "Susan, we need to get you ready to testify," Karen said, spreading papers on the table. "Frank's trial is in 2 weeks, and we're after Victor Malone too. Your words could bring them down." I swallowed hard. What do I say? Hayes sat down, his voice calm. "Just tell the truth. How you found the papers, what Michael said, what Frank did. It's enough to nail them for fraud." My stomach twisted. And Michael? Will I have to speak against him? Karen's eyes were kind. Only if he doesn't take the deal. He can testify against Frank and Malone for less time. But he's not talking yet. I felt hope, then guilt. I wanted Michael to talk, but it meant betraying dangerous men. Is he safe in jail? I asked, my voice shaky. Hayes paused. He's in protective custody, but Malone's got people everywhere, even inside. We're keeping an eye on him. My heart sank. Michael was at risk, and so was I. Karen touched my hand. "Susan, you're strong for doing this. Most would have given up." I shook my head, tears falling. "I'm not strong. I'm scared. But I can't let these men keep hurting people." Karen nodded, and we practiced my testimony, each word feeling like a weight I had to carry. That night, alone, I found a Bible in a drawer. I hadn't prayed much since Michael was little, but I held it close, whispering, "Please keep him safe. Give me courage." I fell asleep with it in my hands, dreaming of Michael as a boy, running through Clara's backyard, laughing. The next day, Hayes called, his voice urgent. "Susan, Michael wants to see you. He's ready to talk, but only to you." My heart raced. "Why me?" He said he didn't need me. Hayes sighed. "Maybe he's scared. Maybe he trusts you. Can you do it?" I didn't know, but I said yes. I needed to hear him out. Hayes took me to the jail, my hands sweaty. Michael looked worse, thin, with dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept. "Mom," he said through the glass, his voice soft. I leaned close. "Mike, why am I here?" He looked down, then up, tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Mom. I messed up so bad. Frank and Malone, they're not just scammers. They hurt people. I didn't know it was that bad." My breath caught. "Hurt people how?" He whispered. "They make problems disappear. People too. I'm scared, Mom. They know I'm here." I felt sick, my hands trembling. "Mike, you have to take the deal. Tell the police everything. It's your only way out." He shook his head, his voice breaking. "If I talk, they'll come for me, or you. They know you gave those papers." I froze. "How do they know?" He looked away, ashamed. "I told Frank, back when I thought I could trust him." "I'm sorry." Anger surged through me. "You told him?" "Mike, they're after me because of you. I'm hiding because of you, he cried, his hands shaking. I didn't mean it, Mom. I was trying to keep you safe. I saw the fear in his eyes, the boy I'd raised, but also the man who'd betrayed me. I took a deep breath. Mike, you tell Hayes everything, names, deals, all of it. I'll testify, and we'll stop them. Together. He nodded, tears falling. Kingham. I'll do it. I left, my heart torn between hope and pain. Back at the safe house, I couldn't sit still, pacing the small room. That night, I heard a noise, a soft creak outside the door. My heart pounded. I grabbed the phone to call Hayes, but the line was dead. Panic hit me. I checked the lock. It held, but a shadow moved under the door, like someone was there. I slid under the bed, my breath shallow, praying they wouldn't get in. The shadow lingered, then left. When the phone worked again, I called Hayes, my voice shaking. Someone was outside, I said. He cursed. Stay there, Susan. I'm sending officers. They found nothing, no tracks, no clues, but I knew it wasn't my imagination. The next morning, Hayes came by, his face grim. Susan, we've got a problem, he said. There's a leak in the department. Someone's feeding Malone info. That's how they found you. My blood ran cold. A leak? Who? I asked. Hayes shook his head. We don't know yet, but we're looking. We're moving you to another safe house, and we're rushing the trial. Then he paused. There's more. Michael gave us names, big ones. It's enough to arrest Malone, but he's gone underground. And Susan, someone tried to get to Michael in jail last night. I gasped. Is he okay? Hayes nodded. He's fine, moved to a secure cell. But this is getting ugly. I felt dizzy, fear mixing with anger. Michael was trying to do right, but Malone was everywhere. As Hayes drove me to the new safe house, I saw a black car behind us, the same one from before. Hayes, I said, my voice tight. That car's following us. He glanced back, his jaw tight. Hold on, he said, speeding up. The car stayed close, its windows dark. Hayes called for backup, his voice sharp. We've got a tail. Send units to Peachtree and 10th. I gripped the seat as Hayes swerved through traffic, the black car matching every move. My heart pounded, memories of Michael's childhood flashing, his laughter, his promises. I couldn't lose him now. Hayes took a sharp turn, and the black car missed it, but I knew they'd try again. At the new safe house, I sat on the floor shaking. Hayes stayed, his gun visible. Susan, you're doing something huge, he said. Malone's scared. That's why he's coming for you. Michael's helping us now. You both can end this. I nodded, tears falling. I just want it over, Hayes. I want to feel safe. He looked at me, his voice soft. You will. You're stronger than you know. I didn't feel strong, but his words lit something in me. I wasn't just a mother fighting for her son. I was a woman fighting for her life. And I wasn't giving up. The new safe house was a tiny house in a quiet Atlanta suburb, surrounded by tall trees that blocked the sun. Detective Hayes checked the locks twice before leaving. No one knows you're here, Susan, he said, his voice firm. Stay inside, keep the curtains closed. I'll call you tomorrow. I nodded, my heart still racing from the car chase. I was 44, living like a fugitive, all because I'd stood up to men like Victor Malone. The fear was heavy, but something else burned inside me. A need to finish this, for Michael, for myself. I wasn't sure I could testify, but I knew I couldn't run anymore. The house creaked at night, every sound making me jump. I sat on the couch, clutching a pillow, thinking about Michael. He was talking to the police now, giving them names, but Hayes said Malone was still out there, hiding. The leak in the department scared me most. Whoever it was knew too much. I missed Clara's kitchen, Linda's laughter, the life I'd had before this nightmare. I found a photo in my purse, one of Michael at 12, smiling with a soccer ball. I traced his face, whispering, I'm trying, Mike. I'm trying. Tears fell, but they didn't feel weak anymore. They felt like fuel. The next morning, Karen came with Hayes, her briefcase full of papers. Susan, the trial's moving fast, she said, sitting at the small table. Frank's pleading not guilty, but with your testimony and Michael's, we can bury him. Malone's still missing, but we're close. I nodded, my hands shaky. What if Malone's people come for me in court? Hayes leaned forward. We'll have security, undercover officers, the works. You'll be safe. I wanted to believe him, but the black car's dark windows flashed in my mind. Karen opened a notebook. Let's practice your testimony again. Start with how you found the papers. I took a deep breath, my voice wobbly but growing steadier as I spoke. Each word felt like a step toward taking my life back. That afternoon, Hayes got a call and stepped outside, his face tense. When he came back, he looked worried. Susan, we found the leak, he said. It's an officer, Daniels. He's been feeding Malone info for months. We arrested him, but he already told Malone about the trial date. My stomach dropped. So Malone knows I'm testifying? Hayes nodded. Yeah, we're doubling security, but you need to stay sharp. I felt like the walls were closing in. Karen touched my arm. Susan, you're not alone. We're all in this with you. Her words helped, but fear not at me. I wasn't just fighting for Michael anymore. I was fighting to survive. That night, I couldn't sleep, my mind racing with what-ifs. What if Malone got to me? What if Michael changed his mind and didn't testify? Around midnight, the phone rang, making me jump. It was a blocked number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Susan Miller? A man's voice said, low and rough. My heart stopped. Who's this? I asked, my voice shaking. He laughed, cold and sharp. You know who? You've got something that belongs to me. Back off or you won't make it to court. The line went dead. I dropped the phone, my hands trembling. It had to be Malone. I called Hayes, my voice barely a whisper. He called me, I said. Malone. He threatened me. Hayes cursed. We'll trace it, Susan. Stay put. I'm coming over. Hayes arrived with 2 officers, their guns drawn as they checked the house. No sign of anyone, one said, but Hayes wasn't satisfied. We're moving you again, he told me. Malone's too close. I packed my bag, my hands shaking, anger mixing with fear. I was tired of running, tired of hiding. Hayes, I said, my voice firm. I'm testifying no matter what. I'm done being scared. He looked at me, a small smile breaking through. You're tougher than most, Susan. Let's get you safe so you can do this. The new safe house was a motel room outside the city, guarded by officers day and night. The next day, Karen brought news that made my heart leap. Susan, Michael's cooperating fully, she said. He gave details on Malone's whole operation. Bank accounts, fake companies, even where he might be hiding. I felt a rush of pride, then worry. Is he safe? I asked. Karen nodded. He's in a secure facility now under guard. But Susan, he wants to see you before the trial. He says it's important. My throat tightened. Last time he'd blamed me. Could I face him again? Okay, I said. I'll go. At the jail, Michael looked better, his eyes clearer, like a weight had lifted. Mom, he said through the glass, his voice soft. I'm doing it. I'm telling them everything. For you. Tears filled my eyes. Mike, I'm so proud of you. But why now? He looked down, his hands fidgeting. I saw you last time, how you didn't give up on me, even after everything. I want to make it right, Mom. I know I hurt you, but I love you. My heart broke open, love and pain spilling out. I love you too, Mike. Always will. But you have to keep going. We both do. He nodded, a tear falling. I will. And Mom, be careful. Malone's not done. I nodded, squeezing the phone tight, feeling closer to him than I had in years. Back at the motel, I felt stronger, like Michael's words had built me up. But that night everything changed. I woke to a loud crash, glass breaking in the bathroom. My heart raced. I grabbed the phone, but before I could dial, a man burst into the room, his face covered by a mask. Where's the evidence? He yelled, his voice muffled. I screamed, backing against the wall. The officers outside must have heard, because the door flew open, and one tackled the man, pinning him down. Hayes rushed in, his gun drawn. Susan, you okay? He asked, his voice urgent. I nodded, shaking, my eyes on the masked man. Who is he? I asked. Hayes pulled off the mask, revealing a stranger, young with scared eyes. One of Malone's guys, Hayes said. We'll find out who sent him. The police took the man away, but I couldn't stay in the motel. Hayes moved me to a police safe room inside the station. The safest place they had. Susan, the trial's in 3 days, he said. Malone's desperate. That's why he's sending people after you. But we're ready. I nodded, my hands still trembling. Hayes, what if Michael's lying? What if he's still playing me? Hayes looked at me, his voice steady. He's not. I've seen his statements. He's risking everything to help us. And so are you. I took a deep breath, thinking of Michael's words, his tearful promise. I had to believe in him, in myself. The next day, Karen brought a letter from Michael, slipped through the jail's mail system. My hands shook as I opened it. Mom, it read. I'm scared, but I'm doing this for you. I know I broke your trust, but I'm trying to fix it. When this is over, I hope you'll forgive me. Love, Mike. I cried, holding the letter close, feeling his heart in every word. For the first time, I felt like we might come out of this, not whole, but healing. But Malone was still out there, and the trial loomed. I wasn't just fighting for Michael anymore. I was fighting for the woman I'd become, strong, unbroken, ready to face whatever came next. The police station safe room was small, with a metal bed and a single chair, but it felt like a fortress after the break-in. I sat on the bed, Michael's letter in my hands, his words. I'm doing this for you. Burning in my heart. I was 44, exhausted from running, from fearing Victor Malone's next move. But the trial was tomorrow, and I had to face it. My hands shook as I folded the letter, tears blurring my eyes. I loved Michael so much it hurt, but his lies, his choices, had torn us apart. I wanted to save him, but I was learning to save myself, too. Hayes knocked on the door, his face tired but kind. Susan, you ready for tomorrow? He asked, sitting in the chair. I wiped my eyes, my voice shaky. I don't know, Hayes. I'm scared. What if I mess up? What if Malone's people get to me? He leaned forward, his voice steady. You won't mess up. You'll tell the truth, and we'll protect you. Michael's testimony is solid, and with yours, we can lock Frank away. We're still hunting Malone, but we're close. I nodded, clutching Michael's letter. Is Mike okay? Hayes sighed. He's scared, but he's holding up. He knows you're doing this together. My heart ached, picturing Michael in his cell, alone like me. Karen came later, her eyes soft but serious. Susan, let's go over your testimony one last time, she said, opening her notebook. I took a deep breath, my voice breaking as I started. I found papers in Michael's apartment. Fake car titles, fraud. Each word felt like a knife, cutting open the pain of Michael's betrayal. Karen stopped me, her hand on mine. Susan, you're doing this because you love him. That's what makes you strong. I cried, shaking my head. It doesn't feel strong, Karen. It feels like I'm losing him all over again. She hugged me, her voice soft. You're not losing him. You're giving him a chance to be better. And you're standing up for yourself. That night, I couldn't sleep, my mind full of memories. Michael's first bike ride, his laughter, the way he'd hug me tight. Then I saw him in Tampa, cold, distant, lying to my face. I sobbed into the pillow, my heart breaking for the boy I'd raised and the man he'd become. I whispered, I forgive you, Mike. Not sure if I meant it yet, but needing to say it. I wanted to believe we could heal, but the trial loomed, and Malone was still out there. I felt alone, but also stronger, like every tear was building me up. The next morning, Hayes brought news that made my stomach drop. Susan, we got a tip, he said, his voice tense. Malone's in Atlanta. He's planning something big at the trial, maybe an attack to stop you and Michael from testifying. My heart raced. An attack? Hayes, what do we do? He gripped my shoulder. We're locking down the courthouse. Extra officers, metal detectors, everything. But Susan, we need you to stay calm and testify. Can you do that? I nodded, my hands trembling, Michael's letter in my pocket. I have to, I said. For Mike. For me. Hayes nodded, respect in his eyes. You're a fighter, Susan. Before leaving for court, I asked to see Michael. Hayes arranged it, driving me to the secure facility. Michael looked nervous but hopeful, his eyes meeting mine through the glass. Mom, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I'm testifying today. I'm telling them everything. Tears fell down my cheeks. Mike, I'm so proud of you. But I'm scared. Malone's planning something. He reached for the glass, like he wanted to touch me. I know, Mom. I'm scared too. But you taught me to do what's right, even when it's hard. I'm doing this because of you. My heart swelled, love and pain mixing. I love you, Mike. No matter what. He smiled, a real smile, like the boy I remembered. I love you too, Mom. Be strong today. I left, his words carrying me. But fear clawed at me as we drove to the courthouse. The building was surrounded by police, their radios crackling. Inside, Karen met us, her face pale. Susan, we just found a bomb threat, she whispered. They're sweeping the building, but we're going ahead. We can't let Malone win. My knees went weak. A bomb. Karen, what if? She grabbed my hands. You're not alone, Susan. We're all here. You can do this. I nodded, my heart pounding. Michael's letter pressed against my chest. I wasn't just a mother anymore. I was a woman facing her fears. In the courtroom, I sat in the witness box, my hands sweaty, Frank staring at me with cold eyes. The judge's voice echoed, but all I could think about was Michael, Malone, the bomb threat. When the prosecutor called me, I stood, my legs shaky. Susan Miller, tell us what you found in Tampa, he said. I took a deep breath, my voice trembling but clear. I found papers in my son's apartment, fake car titles, contracts. They showed fraud, tied to Frank Larson. The room was silent, every word heavy. Frank's lawyer tried to twist my story, but I didn't back down, picturing Michael's smile, his promise to make things right. Then chaos broke out. A loud bang came from outside and people screamed. Get down. Hayes yelled, rushing to me. Smoke filled the air, and I coughed, my heart racing. Is it Malone? I asked, my voice hoarse. Hayes pulled me to the floor, his gun drawn. Maybe. Stay low. The judge ordered everyone out, but as we moved, I saw a man in the crowd, older, with a scar on his cheek, Malone. He locked eyes with me, his stare chilling, then vanished into the chaos. My blood ran cold. He was here, in the courthouse. Hayes got me to a secure room, his face grim. That was a smoke bomb, not a real one, he said. Malone's trying to scare us, stop the trial. I shook my head, tears falling. I saw him, Hayes. Malone was in the crowd. Hayes cursed, calling for more officers. We'll find him, Susan. You did good today. Your testimony hurt Frank bad. I nodded, but fear overwhelmed me. Malone was so close, and Michael was still testifying. Is Mike safe? I asked. Hayes nodded. He's under guard, still in the building. He's up next. I waited in the secure room, my heart in my throat, praying for Michael. When Hayes brought him to me after his testimony, I broke down, hugging him through the bars of a holding cell. You did it, Mike, I said, sobbing. You told the truth. He held me tight, his voice breaking. I'm sorry for everything, Mom. I want to be better. I pulled back, looking into his eyes, seeing my boy again. You will, Mike. We'll get through this. But as Hayes led him away, a new fear hit me. Malone was still out there, and he wasn't done. I had to keep fighting, not just for Michael, but for the strength I'd found in myself, a strength I'd never known I had. The secure room in the courthouse felt like a cage, the air thick with smoke from the bomb scare. I sat on a hard chair, my hands clutching Michael's letter, my heart pounding from seeing Victor Malone in the crowd. I was 44, shaking with fear, but something inside me refused to break. I'd testified against Frank, and Michael had too. We'd done what was right, but Malone was still out there, his cold eyes haunting me. I whispered to myself, You're strong, Susan. Keep going, trying to believe it. Hayes burst in, his face tight. Susan, we're moving you to another room, he said, his voice urgent. Malone's people are still in the building. We're locking this place down. My stomach twisted. What about Mike? I asked, my voice breaking. He's safe under guard, Hayes said. His testimony hit Frank hard. Details on every deal. You both did good. I nodded, tears falling, but fear gripped me. Malone wasn't just after Michael now. He wanted me gone. Hayes grabbed my arm, leading me through back halls. Officers all around us, their radios crackling. In the new room, Karen waited, her eyes wide. Susan, you were amazing up there, she said, hugging me. Frank's lawyer scrambling. Your testimony sealed it. I tried to smile, but my voice shook. Karen, I saw Malone. He was right there. What if he gets to us? She squeezed my hands. We're close to catching him, Susan. The police are searching the building. You and Michael gave us enough to end this. Her words gave me hope, but the memory of Malone's scar, his stare, made my skin crawl. I wasn't sure I could keep fighting, but I had to for Michael, for myself. Then Hayes got a call, his face darkening. Susan, we found something, he said, his voice low. A device in the parking garage, another smoke bomb, but this one had a timer. Malone's trying to cause panic, maybe worse. My heart stopped. Worse? Like a real bomb? Hayes nodded, his jaw tight. We're not sure. Bomb squad's on it. But we're not stopping the trial. The judge wants to finish today. I felt sick, picturing Michael in his cell, Malone's men everywhere. Hayes, can I see Mike again? I asked, my voice desperate. He hesitated, then nodded. Quickly. He's in holding. They brought Michael to a small room, his hands cuffed, his eyes full of fear but also love. I ran to him, hugging him through the bars, sobbing. Mike, you were so brave, I said, my voice breaking. We're almost done. He held me tight, his voice shaky. Mom, I'm sorry I dragged you into this. I thought I could handle it, but I was wrong. You're the strong one. My heart ached, love and pain mixing. We're strong together, Mike. We always were. He pulled back, his eyes wet. Mom, if something happens to me, promise you'll keep going. Live your life. I shook my head, tears falling. Don't talk like that, Mike. We're getting through this. But his words scared me, like he knew something I didn't. Hayes interrupted, his voice sharp. Susan, we need you back in court. The judge is calling you again. I looked at Michael, squeezing his hand. I love you, Mike. Stay safe. He nodded, a small smile breaking through. Love you, Mom. As Hayes led me away, I felt his strength in me, like a fire I couldn't put out. But fear followed, too. Malone was still free, and the trial wasn't over. Back in the courtroom, the air was tense, police at every door. Frank sat at the defense table, his face pale, like he knew he'd lost. The prosecutor called me back to the stand, his voice calm. Mrs. Miller, can you confirm the papers you found were in your son's apartment? I nodded, my voice steady despite my fear. Yes, they had Frank's name, fake contracts, everything. The lawyer asked more, digging into every detail, and I answered, picturing Michael's face, his promise to make things right. The room felt heavy, every word a step closer to justice. Then a scream came from the hall, followed by shouts. He's got a gun, someone yelled. My heart raced, and Hayes was at my side in seconds, pulling me down. Stay low, Susan, he shouted. Gunshots echoed, and people ran, chairs crashing. I crouched behind the witness box, my hands over my ears, praying for Michael. Was he safe? Was this Malone? Hayes yelled into his radio. Shooter in the West Hall. Lock it down. The judge was rushed out, and officers swarmed the room, guns drawn. Minutes later, Hayes helped me up, his face grim. It's over, Susan. They got the shooter, another of Malone's men. He's dead. My knees buckled. Dead. What about Malone? Hayes shook his head. Still looking. But we found something on the shooter, a note with your name and Michael's. My blood ran cold. A note? Like the one at Clara's? They're targeting us, I whispered. Hayes nodded. Yeah, but you're safe now. The trial's paused, but your testimony's done. You did it. I didn't feel like I'd done anything, not with Malone still out there. Hayes took me to a secure office, where Karen was waiting. Susan, you were incredible, she said, her voice soft. Frank's going down, thanks to you and Michael. I cried, shaking my head. But Malone's still free, Karen. And Mike's not safe. She hugged me, her voice firm. We're not done, Susan. Michael's testimony gave us new leads. We'll get Malone. I wanted to believe her, but fear and exhaustion weighed me down. That night, back in the station's safe room, I got a call from Hayes. Susan, we found Malone, he said, his voice excited. He was hiding in a warehouse outside Atlanta. We arrested him an hour ago. My heart leaped. He's caught? It's over. Hayes paused. We think so. He's in custody, no bail. But Susan, he had a list. Names of people he wanted gone. You and Michael were on it. I felt sick, but also relieved. Malone was gone. Is Mike okay? I asked. He's fine, Hayes said. He's asking for you. They let me see Michael the next day, in a quiet room at the jail. He looked tired but lighter, like a burden was gone. Mom, he said, hugging me tight. No bars between us this time. We did it. Malone's gone. I sobbed, holding him close, feeling his warmth, his heartbeat. I was so scared, Mike. I thought I'd lose you. He pulled back, his eyes wet. You didn't lose me, Mom. You saved me. I'm gonna do better, I swear. I smiled through tears, seeing my boy again, not perfect, but trying. I know, Mike. And I'm gonna live my life, like you said. As we talked, Hayes came in, his face serious. Susan, there's one more thing, he said. We found a bank account tied to Malone. Your $4,000 was in it. We're getting it back to you. My jaw dropped. My money. Hayes nodded, a small smile breaking through. Yeah. You're free now, Susan. Live your life. I cried, not for pain, but for hope. I looked at Michael, his hand in mine, and felt a strength I'd earned, a life I'd fought for. Malone was gone, Michael was healing, and I was ready to start again, not just as a mother, but as a woman who'd found her own way.